A true tag team, breaking through the lines, they play supreme. The Spud Kingdom rises, loyal and proud. Idaho Falls rocking, we're bringing the crowd. Spud Kings, we own this night. The kingdom roars like fire, we ignite. Coming for the cup, we bring the fight. Spud Kingdom, we rise, unite.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Spud Kingdom podcast. I'm your host as always, Woody. How's it going out there today? It's game day. We got the Spud Kings back in town. It's going to be a great one tonight versus Casper. We'll get to all that here in a little bit. First, I got a cheap plug I want to do real quick. So those of you who don't know, and some of you do, I made the song that goes on this podcast. But I am a musician, and I am going to be performing in my first ever show tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. I will be hitting the stage at the gym. I know there's a game against Ogden, and it's a big game, and most of you don't want to miss that. But hey, if you can miss the first period and just come check me out for a minute and then catch the game, that would be awesome. It's only $10 in advance, $15 at the door. Figured I'd get that cheap plug out of the way just because, hey, if you guys hear it, maybe somebody else will hear it. Maybe somebody will want to come. Who knows? So, as always, I got some trivia. I got some recap 3 stars of the week, stat standings. We got the answer to the trivia later in the show. We got the weekend preview, starting with tonight's game and all that. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is kick it off with trivia like usual so we can get to the answer later. The question this week is, who was the NHL leader in hat tricks last season? So for the 2024-2025 season, who led the NHL in hat tricks? We'll get to the answer here in a little bit after we get through some of the good stuff from the weekend. All right, so the weekend recap. Game 1. There was a big weekend versus the rival Ogden Mustangs. We played 2 games against them this weekend. So huge weekend. It was a big spot for us to try to jump standings. Riverhawks will also play in this weekend as well, so we were keeping a close eye on all that. So game 1 was Friday, November 14th, 2025 at the Weaver County Ice Sheet in Ogden, also known as the Barn sometimes. This game, as the whole weekend, would be physical and penalty filled, as well as a goaltending masterpiece from both goalies. The Ogden goalie especially, and Devin Degenstein put on a heck of a show both games, all the way up until they were a little out of hand or whatever. But great game from the goalies this weekend, both games actually. So let's get to the action. First period, Ogden would have the upper hand in shots, but both teams would light up the scoreboard a little bit. So Ogden had 14 shots on goal. Spud Kings had 5. Spud Kings would strike first in the period at 8 minutes, 23 seconds. Blaine Cron would get his first of the year, and he was assisted on the play by Camden Cunningham for his 4th. It would take 6 minutes for the Mustangs to answer, and at 14 minutes, 32 seconds, Logan Lambrecht would add to his goal scoring for the season, and he would even the game up at 1. Period would end this way, 1-1. In the second period, shots would even up just a little bit. Only Ogden would score, though. Ogden had 11 shots on goal. Spud Kings had 10. Maybe that extra shot is exactly what they needed to get on the scoreboard. Who's to say? But like I mentioned, only the 1 goal in the period, and it was coming late in the period at 18 minutes and 10 seconds by Hudson Weaver Stewart, who put up the Ponies 2-1. Hudson Weaver Stewart had a great weekend for the Ogden Mustangs, and it was actually the rookie of the week. So that's just a little bit of what he did to start the weekend. So the period would end 2-1, Ogden in the lead. Third period, this period would be dominated in shots by the Spud Kings. Ogden had 10 shots on goal. Spud Kings had 17, so they were stepping up their attack a little bit. Only 1 goal in the period, and it came quick. At 1 minute, 5 seconds, Camden Cunningham would get his 2nd, and he was assisted on the play by Isaac Sabell for his 3rd, and DJ the Beast McLeish for his 7th. This would even the game up at 2, and no other scoring would happen in regulation, would end 2-2. So we would go to overtime. In OT, we only had one shot on goal in the period, and that was all that was needed for the Spud Kings. At 52 seconds in the overtime period, Lucas Ronner would end the game with his first of the season. He was assisted on the play by Will Strickland for his 8th and Camden Cunningham for his 5th. Game over, Spud Kings win. This was a big win against Ogden. Obviously, they picked up 1 point because it was in overtime, but it was a big win against the rivals. And so far, we have given them every one of their losses this season. The game was a goaltending masterpiece from both sides. As I mentioned earlier, Devin Degenstein would stop 33 out of 35 shots for a 94.3 save percentage. So great game from the goaltendings. I don't know if you guys saw some of the saves these guys were making. I feel like they were doing headstands sometimes, but they were just putting on a clinic, and it was awesome to watch. Game 2, Saturday, November 15th, also in Ogden in the barn. This game would be all about Ogden goalie Merrick Greiniker. Degenstein would also put on a show until things got out of hand, as I mentioned, to kick off the show. This game was one-sided in the penalty minutes category. We'll get to some of that here in a little bit. So first period, let's kick it off. Nothing on the goal-scoring front. As I mentioned, this game was a goaltending showcase to start it off. Ogden had 13 shots on goal. The Spud Kings had 8. Period would end all even, though, at 0. Big goose eggs for both teams because the goaltenders, I'm telling you, it was a great weekend for them. Second period, we would see Ogden start some scoring, and some of the penalty BS begins. Ogden had 11 shots on goal. Spud Kings only had 4. Part of that was because of how much time we spent in the penalty box and on the defensive zone. At 1 minute 29 seconds, Reuben Clark would score on the power play, putting the Mustangs up 1-0. And then 10 minutes later, at 11 minutes 40 seconds, Hudson Weaver Stewart would add another to the Mustangs total. And the period would end 2-0 Mustangs. So that's the second time we mentioned Hudson Weaver Stewart's name today. As you can see, he's been a big contributor for the team. He might be somebody we have to watch this year. Third period, more penalties and lots of Mustang scoring. This is where things really got out of hand. The Spud Kings would put up a little bit of a battle in the shot category, but it would not be too much success. Ogden had 15 shots on goal. The Spud Kings had 14. The scoring wouldn't come until later in the period, but it would come with a fury. At 14 minutes, 24 seconds, Wyatt Sansabrian would kick things off with a power play goal. Once again, power play goal, putting the Mustangs up 3-0. The Spud Kings would finally break through, though, and get one on the board. At 16 minutes, 59 seconds, Leo the Mantenuto would get his 4th, and he was assisted on the play by Bookie Warshaw for his 6th. Spud Kings still trailed, though, 3-1. Unfortunately, that would be all the Spud Kings would get, and Ogden would just pile on. At 17 minutes, 12 seconds, Liam Sheward would make it 4-1 Ogden. And then, right before the game was over, at 19 minutes and 45 seconds, Liam Waugh would put the nail in the coffin and make it 5-1 Mustangs. Period, and game would end, and the Mustangs would take home the win. So, they win this one outright, picked up 2 points. We don't get any in this one. Spud Kings would have 39 penalty minutes in this one, which did not help one bit. I don't know what was, we're playing Ogden and they seem to get in our players' heads pretty well, but like some of those calls and some of the non-calls, I gotta say, it was kind of wishy-washy to me, but it's hockey. What can we say? It's over. The game's over. We lost. We got to move on. Hopefully we can pick up a big W against them this weekend and we can get past it. So Degenstein would stop 34 out of 39 shots for a 97.2 save percentage, picking up his first regular season loss of the season. Actually, that's supposed to be an 87.2 save percentage. I typed the wrong number. So let me correct myself there. Um, so yeah, his first loss of the season in regulation. The other one coming in a shootout. So Degenstein definitely still making a showcase for our number one spot. People like to play this game on one of the sports talk shows that I watch called Bad Game or Bad Sign. I would just say that was a bad game. Degenstein did not find himself in the most um, outstanding spots all night long with the penalties and being shorthanded, and he got shot on quite a bit. So I mean, man, the dude was doing everything he could. So with that, we'll get to the 3 stars of the week. This week there wasn't very much stats to go off of, but I did make a list because every week there is deserving of the 3 stars of the week, unless we're not playing, of course. So the third star was Devin Degenstein. He went 1-1 on the weekend. He stopped 67 out of 74 shots for a 90.6 save percentage. So all in all, he had a great weekend. Just that second game was just out of hand. So I gave the nod to him to the third star because he did play lights out. Second star was Lucas Ronner. He only had the 1 goal on the weekend, but he played his butt off in that defensive role right next to DJ all night long, all weekend long. His 1 goal was an overtime winner, so I figured that'd give him a little bit of a nod for the second star. Our first star, uh, newcomer Camden Cunningham. He had 1 goal and 2 assists on the weekend for 3 total points, and he helped us with the big win on Friday night. Is it Friday? Yeah, Friday night. So my 3 stars once again. Third star, Devin Degenstein. Second star, Lucas Ronner. First star, Camden Cunningham. So give a big old shout out to those boys when you see them. Thank them for all they do because they did play their butts off all weekend, regardless of what happened down there in Ogden. Unfortunately, we didn't have anybody make player of the week this week. Um, there was a couple Ogden players, Utah. I mean, they had some good games, so I know I couldn't disagree. So we didn't have anybody on the player of the week to watch this week. But we'll get straight to the stats. Our goals leader at this point, still in first place, Tyler Atchison has 9 goals, leading the team. And in second, DJ McLeish has 7. Assist leaders. First is Leo the Mantenuto. He has 11. And in second, we have 2 people tied with 10. That would be Andrew Schmidt and the Grim Reaper himself, Sam Grimaldi. Points leaders on the team. First place, Leo and Sam are both tied with 15. And in second, DJ and Tyler are both have 14. So Leo Mantenuto, Sam Grimaldi have 15, DJ McLeish and Tyler Atchison with 14. Goalie stats. Devin Degenstein is now 7-1-1 on the season with a 92.4 save percentage and a 2.27 goals against average, stopping 255 shots total for the year. And to the Mountain Division standings as they are at the moment. First place is the Ogden Mustangs still with the 15-1-2 record with 32 points overall. So just a little clarification. I had some people ask me about this again. I started doing the records as they actually do them in hockey. So the first number is the wins, the second number is the losses, and the last number I mentioned is the losses in overtime or shootouts. So the 15 wins for the Mustangs, 1 loss in regulation, and 2 losses in shootout or overtime. So that's why they have 32 total points. Second place, Grand Junction Riverhawks are 13-4-2 on the season for 28 total points. And in third place, your Idaho Falls Spud Kings with an 11-4-1 record with 23 total points overall. So hopefully we can pick up a couple more points this weekend, moving them standings. We need a little help from those other teams, pick up a couple losses along the way. Outright losses would be preferred. Overtime losses are okay, but man, they still get a point for those. So outright losses would be great. So let's get to the trivia answer before we get to the weekend preview. The trivia answer, if you don't remember, the question was, who was the NHL leader in hat tricks last season? And the answer is Mikko Rantanen. He had 3, and he did it for 3 different teams last season. He was traded a couple times at some point during the season. Started with Colorado as he started his season with his whole career with Colorado, and then ended up getting moved a couple times last year. So give yourself a pat on the back if you got that one right, and we'll get to the weekend preview. 2 big games on the docket this weekend starting tonight. Game 1 is Friday, November 21st, which is today, versus the Casper Warbirds, and it is at the MAC. It's going to be a big one. Puck drop at 7:05 is standard time. That's going to be the sling bag giveaway by Bingham Healthcare. So be one of the first in line to get one of those. I'm not exactly sure how they're doing it, but I'm sure it's the first so many. It doesn't say on the promotion list. It just says it'll be Bingham Healthcare is giving away some sling bags tonight. Game 2 will be tomorrow night, November 22nd, versus the hated Ogden Mustangs. The Little Ponies are coming to town, and the game will be at the MAC, and it is T-shirt giveaway night presented by Wackerly GMC. So I know I said if you could miss the first period and come watch me play, but I understand them T-shirts are big too. So it's a lose-lose. There'll be another chance to come watch me perform later on next month, actually. So game 1 tonight, Friday versus Casper. Sling bag giveaway by Bingham Healthcare. Game 2 is tomorrow night versus the Ogden Mustangs. T-shirt giveaway presented by Wackerly GMC. And if you cannot make it to the games, check it out on Black Bear TV. And as always, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Without me, I'm just talking to a camera. I mean, without me, without you, I'm just talking to a camera. You guys make this show happen. I also want to shout out one of my sponsors for the week. I don't have like a commercial or anything, but they did help me out a little bit this week. So Beamer's Action Sports Shop. Jack, go see Jason and go get all of your action sporting needs taken care of, whether you're a BMXer, mountain biker, maybe you have a scooter that needs a little bit of repairing. Go check my man out. He's on the corner of First Street and Woodruff in Idaho Falls. And go check it out. I want to thank them one more time for helping out the show this week. And as always, go Spud.
Rivals crumble as the anthem plays. The beast off the leash setting the stage ablaze. Edwards with the setup, Schmidt with the strike. Spud Kings on the rink, rewriting the hype. Fear the stash, it's the pride of the crew. The Spud Kingdom strong, loyal through and through.